Hey everybody. I was thinking about talking about this last night, but I was so tired I couldn't think of it. I couldn't do it just yet. And I wanted to wake up a little bit more this morning to talk about it, but as you can see, it asks the question of, should the show gone on the way it did last night on Monday Night Raw, after the whole situation with Jerry Lawler. Now, to inform anybody, like say Simon Nicol HD, there are links that you could find if you Google, say, Jerry Lawler on there, and they will show you Jerry Lawler, put in Jerry Lawler CNN, Jerry Lawler Fox Sports, Yahoo, abcnews.com. They have video reports, they have articles up. So just in case, because I know Simon Nicol HD, you were there live, just to let you know, this was legit. This was real. And I didn't know about it until I read about it on ringsidenews.com, and it kind of surprised me with what was going on. And I didn't know exactly what was going on until I watched it for myself. It was during the tag match that you could kind of tell something was wrong, because at times they'd be a little silent, they would both speak, but it seems that King, before this happened, was a little delayed in his responses to Michael Cole. And then all of a sudden, it's like, then it just, like you said, went silent, and I think it was I think Michael Cole, just to correct people, did kind of commentate a little bit, did commentate for the whole Del Rio Tyson Kidd match. He did commentate on that just to let people know. But then afterwards, they just went silent out of respect. Now, the Off the Ropes show, when they talked about this last night, they said that they were proud. They actually had admired Michael Cole for his professionalism, admired the fact that he told Vince McMahon or whoever was, probably yelling in his ear to say something, that, he stood his ground and basically said, no, I'm not going to say anything unless it's an update on King. That, well, basically he just stood his ground, like saying, hey, I'm not going to commentate. All I'm going to do is give him updates that you give me. Now, according to several reports, Vince McMahon was obviously at Jerry Lawler's side backstage when this happened. And it's, for me as a wrestling fan, I honestly, first of all, I don't blame anybody who probably doesn't really know the full extent of what happened. Doesn't know the full extent of what happened. I don't blame anybody for, for looking at this and saying, oh, it's all part of a storyline. It's fake. It's this. It's that. Well, let me ask you this, folks. How can it be part of a storyline if you have ABC News, CNN, Fox News, I should say, ESPN possibly, Yahoo, all sorts of media outlets out there? How can it be fake if they're covering it? This is something that doesn't happen. I do agree, and I do agree in response. I do agree with everybody by saying, thankfully, something like this occurred at a live event, like a live WWE event, where the right medical personnel were there, the right medical team, EMTs, basically the right people were there to help revive King, to resuscitate him, revive him, and get him out, be able to hurry him out of there as fast as they could. And today and last night and everything, I've been like anybody else that saw Raw and heard about this, or you just heard about it, period. I read the details. I read what some people had to say. I read that, I think it was Keith Hart, according to what reports are saying, that said that somebody that he knew that was working out there kind of reported that for 20 minutes or so, that Jerry Lawler was clinically dead. Was clinically dead. In other words, wasn't breathing. There was no blood flowing going until they were able to get to him. So technically, what they're saying is he wasn't with us anymore. He had basically passed away for about 20 minutes, and then they revived him. And that's kind of scary, right there. So, I was kind of surprised by that. I do agree that with anybody that's reviewed this, that it was kind of unusual, kind of a different mood, if you will, very kind of like, it was a good show from what I saw. I didn't see all of Raw, honestly. Basically, I was asleep on the couch over here because I basically got up early that day, and I walked all the way to downtown and back to pay some bills for my family, and then I came back and did my thing, and I was going to stay up, try to watch Raw, but I just couldn't. I just fell right to sleep on the couch and woke up in time to try to at least watch the rest of it. And it was kind of unusual. It was like watching a live event. It's like, well, honestly, it's like watching a live event live on television, like no commentary, no nothing. And I've been, honestly, I have been to a live Raw before, and I know what it's like to watch Raw without commentary or anything like that. I know what it's like to watch it live and in person. I've even seen SmackDown in person, so I can honestly say I've seen both those shows live, and I've seen a pay-per-view, so there you go. But to to experience something like this live, I mean, and then you have all these news media outlets and talking, reporting on it. I can't honestly blame. And honestly, I can't blame anybody, fans, wrestlers, critics, insiders, or anything. I cannot honestly blame them for when this happened last night, for them to reminisce and flash back to 13 years ago, when Owen Hart died when Owen Hart had his tragic accident, which led to his death at the Over the Edge pay-per-view. I mean, honestly, I remember that like it was yesterday too. I mean, I remember sitting at home and watching the news, and had to let a truck go by there, garbage truck, whatever it was. But I honestly remember when that happened. You had Fox 4, I think it is, out there. You had Channel 10, you had Channel 13, you had them all reporting on what was going on. And you had Channel 27 reporting it too, and you had the channels out of Kansas City. It was like, oh man, it's like, it was just, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that, especially when they pronounced he had passed away. Thankfully, that did not happen last night with Jerry Lawler's situation, even though clinically, he was dead for 20 minutes or so. But thankfully, thank God, honestly, they were able to have the right medical personnel there to revive him, get him on a stretcher, get him to the back, get CPR on him, get breathing tube, get him to an ambulance, get him to a hospital, which today he underwent heart surgery and everything. So the only thing is we don't know what kind of damage it could have done. Nobody knows exactly the extent. So hopefully, God is with him. His prayers are out there. The Lord's with him, and He's going to heal him, heal his body, and make it better. I know that already. But it's just kind of a scary. If you're there at ringside and you don't know, if you're there sitting at ringside and you're thinking, oh my God, what's going on? It's just kind of scary. But now the question that a lot of people have is, should have the show gone on the way it did? And a lot of people will say, even someone over the lordsofpain.net with a King's Corner article has said that Jerry Lawler would have wanted this way. And a lot of people debate that. A lot of people kind of debate whether Jerry Lawler would have wanted it. A lot of people, even to this day, debate whether Owen Hart would have wanted it 13 years ago. Basically, that's to have the show go on. Should they have just stopped it? Should they have just refunded people's money? I can't honestly say. Honestly, with the Owen Hart situation, I agree that the show should have been stopped. Should have refunded people's money and said, hey, we'll try to purchase this place for one more day during this week, and then you guys can come back, and then we'll have a pay-per-view. Well, not one more day, but at least another week or so, or something. I don't know. As far as Jerry Lawler's situation, if the worst had occurred, and he had actually passed away, not just clinically for 20 minutes or so, but permanent, like there's nothing they could do, kind of deal. If he had actually passed there, like I said, were at the point that they couldn't do nothing, then yeah, I would say stop the show. But if they knew that they could revive him, you don't continue a show the way they did if you didn't know he was going to be okay. And he's hopefully going to pull through this. And he is going to pull through this. If you didn't, again, you wouldn't put on a show, continue a show unless something was going to, unless you knew something good was going to happen. And as we got the updates throughout the night, apparently things are turning out all right. He had his heart surgery this morning, so we'll see exactly what happens. If he can return in the near future to WWE, that'd be great. But we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure what's going to occur as far as the announcer position goes. They'll probably have Matt Stryker just like last week, or they might have Josh Matthews, fill in for the King until he comes back. And excuse me for a second. Had to let the recycling truck, that's what it was, go by again. But, perhaps they'll have Matt Stryker, perhaps they'll have Josh Matthews. Heck, maybe they'll have Jim Ross come in and sit with Michael Cole and do commentary, who knows. But, again, I know God is with the King right now. Jesus is with the Lord, Jesus is with the King, and they're going to heal. He's going to heal. God and Jesus, they're going to heal his body and going to make him well, make him better. He's going to get through this. There's no doubt about that. But again, like I said, if the worst had come if the worst had been a result of what happened last night, then yeah, I would understand to stop the show because someone had died right during the show. But because it was only even though, according to what Keith Hart had said, that it was only clinically dead for 20 or so minutes, but able, but able to be revived later on by the medical personnel, kind of gives you a good sign that they realized that, hey, if he could be revived after being clinically gone from this world for 20 minutes, then obviously that was good enough news for them to, again, like I say, continue the show forward. And again, I do agree with everybody here on the internet at the IWC and the YWC. I agree that you got to applaud Michael Cole for what he did, whether or not it was somebody else besides Vince McMahon trying to yell in his ear saying, hey, say something about the match, and Michael Cole's just sitting there and just saying, no, I'm not, basically with the attitude of like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Give him credit, applaud him no matter whether you like the guy or not. John Cena, Bret Hart, CM Punk, you got to applaud them for doing this, for basically going, continuing on with, the show with the main event segment. You got to applaud, basically you got to applaud the superstars like Alberto and Ricardo and Tyson for doing their match the way they did. You got to applaud them for that. You got to applaud them for doing that. You got to applaud Rey Mysterio. You got to applaud Cody Rhodes. You got to applaud The Miz for doing their thing. And even the primetime players in Kane and Daniel Bryan, when it was actually happening during their match, you got to give them credit. You got to applaud them for continuing on afterwards. So, but my prayers and everything are with Jerry and his family, and all I can say is get well soon, King. Hashtag pray for Lawler, and hopefully he'll be back soon. Maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is a sign for the King. Maybe it's time for King to slow it down. Because honestly, if you read online exactly what happened, he's been wrestling in Aruba on an independent world tour. Came back to the States to fly to Montreal for Raw, wrestled on Raw, so we don't know if all that traveling and stuff contributed to the situation, but we can't really say just yet. But again, my prayers, and give well wishes are to Jerry Lawler and his family. And Jerry, he's gonna beat this. The Lord Jesus is with him. He's going to heal his body and make him well. And hopefully we'll see him together. I mean, not together, but hopefully we'll see him again at WWE. But maybe this is going to be the wake-up call that he needs to kind of slow it down and not do the, kind of independent touring and stuff that he's used to doing and stuff like that. Or even, if he has to... Hold on a second. There's a truck just went by. But again, maybe this is a wake-up call. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but maybe this is a wake-up call for Jerry to start slowing down and realize, you know what? I can't wrestle at the pace that I'm trying to wrestle at anymore. I need to slow it down. And if he does come back, and let's say he's physically able to go in the ring again, which I know he will be, because Jesus is gonna heal his body and make him better. I think he's going to realize that if I have to, compete on a Raw or compete on a WWE SmackDown or even a pay-per-view, that I need to cancel out my independent showing so I don't, probably go through a similar situation. Not saying that what he did, with that world tour is contributing to anything. So, but again, get well wishes and prayers are with Jerry and his family. Hashtag pray for Lawler. He's going to get better. The Lord Jesus is going to heal his body right now, make him better, and he's going to be back probably sooner than anybody probably anticipates. So that's all I'm going to say. Video response and comment down below your thoughts, and I'll talk to you later.